this sounds narcissistic, but I met Maeve the morning after I won the Booker Prize. I'd been up all night, and they told me that I was doing an interview with this woman from the Irish Times. So we had tea together, and since I'd been up all night, she could see I needed some vivification. So she said, it's late in the day, it was 10:30 in the morning, do you think we could have some whiskey in our tea? So that's how I met her, the totally unaffected Maeve, the same Maeve that existed both at the beginning and the end of her spectacular career. The tea accordingly came. I was revived, but of course what revived one was that smile of Maeve's, which seemed to reverberate. It seemed to be seismic. It reverberated as it arose. And the fact that she had such a benign sense of humour, that she was amused by the whole human race. There wasn't one of us that didn't amuse her. And she counted herself amongst the amusing people.
I came to the Dalkey Book Festival in 2011. I had booked tickets to see Maeve. When I heard that she was going to be doing an event, I had to be there. I queued up to talk to her, and I, at the time, had wanted to write. I still want to write, and she signed a copy of Mind and Frankie for me. And in it she said to Ger, keep at it, do 10 hours a week, love Maeve Binchy. And so many writers would just do the signature, maybe be lucky to get a personalisation of it, but she went the hassle of writing down some inspiring notes for me, and she talked about what she meant by writing it down, and that struck me a lot, that she wanted you to achieve, she wanted everyone to do the best they could.
One of the last conversations we ever had was shortly after the book festival, and I'd written a short story for the book festival, and I read it, and Maeve and Gordon asked for a copy of it, and she sent me in the post a handwritten note commending me on it and telling me that I should have won the competition. she would have given me the prize if it had been up to her. We talk about books, but generally we only talk about the books that she read, which were crime thrillers, Harlan Coben and the like. She liked to read books that she would never possibly been able to write, and she liked lines such as "put a cap in their ass" and things like that. These are the things that she found amusing, the things she could never possibly have put pen to paper for, you know. Crime and murder. Very little about lilac buses or things like that.
I didn't get to meet her until 2005 when I directed a play of hers. It was called Moving Hearts, so the place filled up each night, and it was a terrific run that we had. It's probably the best of the runs we've had in Dalkey Players for years. And she and Gordon came a couple of the nights. They sent champagne and they sent flowers. It was so charming. And at the time, they were making a movie of, I think it was Tara Road. It was in Dunleary at the time. So I said to her, it must be terrific to have your work made into a movie. And she said, no, that means nothing to me. So just being here tonight, watching this live show is more to me than that, you know. And the way she said it, I just believed her.
And one of the main memories of Maeve is her good manners. She would write to you to tell you she was delighted you were doing the work. She would thank you. She would then, when she wasn't well in later years, she would send Gordon and Joan along to the performances, and then they would have to sit down with Maeve and give a blow-by-blow account. And then invariably you got the thank you letter.
I was in my 20s. I was living in Belgium, and my mum sent me Circle of Friends. And I know the fictional little town was Knockglen, I remember that. But still, it it was real to me when I read it. It was, even though I'm not from the countryside, I'm a Dublin girl, but I just felt that I was, you know, part of that town. And when I was reading those books, it just brought me back because of the fact that I was away and feeling so homesick. That it was something that those books touched my heart, you know.
I'd say I was 10 or 11, and every Saturday Mum used to drive to the shop to get the Irish Times, because Maeve used to write humour pieces. And Rebecca, my sister, and I used to watch. We used to love watching as Mum came back, and she used to read out bits, and she'd say, "Listen to this, girls." She'd be hooting with laughter. And I'm sure we didn't really understand necessarily the content, but it was more the sheer enjoyment that my mum got from the pieces. We loved watching that.
So the first Maeve Binchy book I bought was on the ferry going from Holyhead to Dublin when I was 11, and I was allowed to pick a book from the adult section because there was no children's section in the bookshop on the boat, and I picked up Tara Road, and I was immediately in love with all of the characters in it. I think Maeve really wrote with empathy about her characters, and it really made you become emotionally invested in all of the characters. So I was very much in love with Danny and very upset for Tia or Tara, I think it was.
Some of the characters in her books lead very safe, they do the right thing type of lives. And others, maybe not the ones you'd expect, really divert with painful results. And they make their mistakes, but they come back again, usually, and not always. But it's like she gave you license to live in that way. And actually, the last thing I saw of Maeve's was the tiny place, and there were two people in the, I thought it was the opticians in Dalkey, and there were two single people in probably late 40s and wondering if they talk to each other and wondering about each other, but they don't. And what I took from that was that she wished they would, just do it, just smile, be open to each other. But that's what she would have done, I guess, having never met her. I would have thought if I ever had met her, you could just go and sit beside her. Because I'd been in her head by dint of reading the words on the paper, that she'd be quite open to you sitting down. She wasn't a scary person at all.
She wanted to know all about you. She asked lots of questions, and your life was laid bare. And she, as an interviewer, you weren't doing a very good job, because she was extracting all the information from you rather than the reverse.
Maeve was always at my side to advise me, and I wrote some annuals about Dalkey United over the years. And then I was doing one about 5 years ago, and she said to me, "How is it going?" And I said, "I seem to be all over the place. I'm just talking about other things, not connected with football or with children or anything like that." And she says, "Well, Dalkey's more than just football. Why don't you write an anthology on Dalkey? It's never been done." So I did that on her advice, and it was a tremendous success.
I guess that she was a forerunner to the other celebrities that came here, in the sense that she set the standard, put them in their box, don't get uppity. You're in Dalkey now, you're in our village.
I heard after she died, someone said she was the Queen of Dalkey, and I think that's quite a good description of her.
It's a village, and I think having lived and grown up in a village, you can identify with that anywhere in the world.
She was an iconic part of Dalkey and always will be. There's still a legacy completely of her here.
I think Dalkey meant to her home sweet home, definitely.